Lesson 5.8 is completing the square, part 2. Part 1 that we talked about of completing the square was learning how to find that magic number and factor the left side of the equation. Part 2 is learning how to actually finish the process to get the solutions from it. So what you're going to see is first, this picks up where your part 1 did, of you have something that's to the second power, so this would be that trinomial, and then equals a number. If we were to solve this, I'm trying to get x by itself. I can't add 2 yet because this is getting squared. And so the opposite of squaring is square rooting. And what I do to one side in the equation, I have to do to the other. So it cancels this out to just give me the x minus 2. But when I square root an equation, I get positive and negative of whatever this answer is. So that would be 7. And then all I have to do to get x by itself is add 2. And I put this number first. So x will equal 2 plus or minus 7. And because this came out to be nice numbers, I don't have a radical left over, I'm going to get my two answers. One's going to be from 2 plus 7, and the other answer is going to be from 2 minus 7. And so 2 plus 7 means I get 9. 2 minus 7 would be negative 5. And the order doesn't matter. So again, that's another method to find the roots or the x-intercepts of the function. All right, number 2, if I want to square root to solve, I would get x plus 2 plus or minus. Your job is to simplify radicals. If you can't, square root of 14 does not have a perfect square in there. And then I'm going to subtract 2 from each side. So I'll put x equals, again, I want to put this number first before the plus or minus. So negative 2 is negative 2, then it's plus or minus the square root of 14. You might have gotten answers like this in Algebra 1 where you had to actually get the decimal. You could do that on your calculator, but this is just going to want you to keep it this way because this is an irrational number. The decimal will have to round. This is making it precise. And then number 6, I would square root first. Square root cancel, bring out your x minus 1. Squaring a negative is not possible, so we get plus or minus 5i. And then all I'd have to do is add 1. So x is equal to 1, positive 1, plus or minus 5i. And that's all you can do on that one. Okay, so let's try to put it all together. Just notice my numbers are off. That should be 3, 4, and 5. Sorry about that. Okay, I don't think we'd seen any of these yet, but we need to divide out this a value, or really you're taking out a GCF. So I'm going to divide everything by negative 5. Okay, so remember it's like taking out a GCF, but because that number in front, like when we would have something like this. Remember that's equal to 0. When we have this number doesn't get an answer, so we're just going to kind of ignore it. Negative 5 divided by negative 5 would be x squared. Negative 80 divided by negative 5 should be positive 16x. Negative 140 divided by negative 5 is 28, and it would be positive. So your first job is to divide out any common factor, and all of these will get to where this a is just going to be a 1, or this is an x squared now. Then what I want to do is keep the a and the b term on this side. I'm going to move the 28 to the other side. It'll be x squared plus 16x. I'm going to put plus blank equals, that'll now be negative 28 plus blank. And I have to find my magic number by taking my b, dividing by 2, and that's 8, and then squaring that, which gets 64 in each blank. Okay, so then I'm trying to, go ahead and write this, factor this side, because I should now create a perfect square trinomial. 64 minus 28, this side gets 36. So this must be x plus 8, quantity squared. That would FOIL to get x squared plus 16x equals, or plus 64 equals 36. Now this step looks like 1, 2, and 3 were, to where I have to solve for x. So I'm going to square root both sides. I get x plus 8 equals positive and negative 6. Subtract 8. X equals negative 8 plus or minus 6. I need to keep going to get my two actual answers since this was a perfect square. So I get negative 8 plus 6 is one of them, and -8 minus 6. So my solutions will be -2 and -14. Those are the x-intercepts. And then number 5, we should be able to divide everything by 6. So that would now be x squared minus 2x. 1476 divided by 6 is 246. It's equal to 0. I want my a and my b to stay. I'm going to move my 246 over. Put your plus blank. Now this is negative 246 plus blank. Take your b, divide by 2. That's -1. Squaring that -1 times -1 means you get +1. So now I'm trying to factor this trinomial, which would be an x minus 1 squared. Because that would multiply the -1 times -1 to make +1, and you get a -1x minus 1x to make -2x. And this would be -245. Okay, so now I'm to the point where I'm trying to solve for x. Square and square root cancel, I get x minus 1 equals, I know an I is going to come out because I can't square root a negative, but I also need to try to break up the 245. So let's see. Let's start with, don't think, shouldn't be 64. Uh, 49. Nope. Oh, I put in 245. There it is. Okay, so it's 49 times 5. So what that simplifies into is plus or minus 7i square roots of 5. And all I have to do is add the 1 over. So x is equal to, put your 1 first, plus or minus 7i square roots of 5. And that is your answer.